From the chaotic corners of YouTube's early days came a creator who could make millions laugh with just a reaction. Ethan Klein, the face of H3H3 Productions, the man who roasted the absurdities of internet culture and the voice behind one of YouTube's biggest podcasts. For a while, he was untouchable, but fame, as we've learned, has a way of bending even the strongest minds. Behind the humor, a storm was brewing, one that would challenge everything Ethan had built. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on the stories that shape internet culture. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and emotional journeys in YouTube history, the rise and fall of Ethan Klein. From his early beginnings as a comedic commentator to his struggles with fame, controversy, and mental health, Ethan's story is as raw as it is real. Let's unpack how one of the internet's most genuine creators found himself facing his own breaking point. Part 1. The Rise of Ethan Klein. In 2013, when most of YouTube was filled with quick-cut comedy sketches and low-effort reaction videos, a new voice emerged that felt refreshingly different. Ethan Klein and his wife, Hila, started H3H3 Productions with a simple idea: to react, critique, and laugh at the ridiculous side of the internet. But their style was unique. Ethan didn't just react to trends, he dissected them. He pointed out hypocrisy, absurdity, and corporate manipulation in a way that felt honest, funny, and intelligent. Audiences connected instantly. His unfiltered expressions, unpredictable humor, and authenticity made him feel like a friend rather than a celebrity. People didn't just tune in to watch videos. They tuned in to see Ethan being Ethan. And Hila's presence added balance to the chaos, grounding Ethan's energy with her calm, artistic touch. Together, they created a digital chemistry that was hard to replicate. Their breakout moments came through viral commentary on internet scams, bizarre viral clips, and corporate exploitation. What set Ethan apart was his courage to criticize not only individuals, but also systems, from shady YouTubers to greedy advertisers. In an age when the internet was rapidly becoming commercialized, Ethan stood as a voice for the audience. He was the everyman who could see through the facade, and people loved him for it. Part 2. The Golden Era of Influence. By 2017, Ethan had already solidified his status as one of the biggest names on YouTube. But he wasn't content with staying static. That same year, he and Hila launched the H3 podcast, a long-form show that allowed him to go beyond quick commentary. The podcast gave Ethan room to breathe, to talk, to think, and to be vulnerable. It was different, slower, more conversational, and deeply human. Fans loved it. The H3 podcast quickly became a cornerstone of YouTube talk culture. Celebrities, internet stars, and even controversial figures joined the show, sharing stories and opinions in ways audiences hadn't seen before. Ethan's unfiltered honesty made the show unpredictable, funny, and often profound. He was brutally real, sometimes awkward, sometimes emotional, but always authentic. It was this openness that created a deep bond with fans. Ethan began speaking more about personal struggles, his anxiety, body image issues, and the toll of online life. Unlike many creators who crafted perfect personas, Ethan showed his flaws. He made jokes about his insecurities, discussed therapy, and addressed his panic attacks openly. This level of transparency made people feel seen. He wasn't performing anymore. He was living his truth in front of millions. Part 3. When Fame Turns Heavy. As the podcast grew in popularity, so did the controversies. Ethan Klein's unapologetic style, the same thing that made him beloved, also made him a lightning rod for online drama. Whether it was feuds with other creators, comments that sparked outrage, or heated podcast moments that went viral for the wrong reasons, Ethan suddenly found himself in the center of constant digital storms. Each controversy left a mark. What once rolled off his back began to stick. Social media, once a tool for creativity, turned into a battlefield. Every clip, every word, every offhand comment became ammunition for critics. People who once celebrated his honesty began twisting it into toxicity. Ethan was changing, and so was the internet. The once tight-knit fan base started to fracture, with some fans growing uncomfortable with his increasingly combative tone. The weight of constant scrutiny began to affect his mental health. Anxiety and depression, issues Ethan had spoken about candidly, intensified under the pressure. The same audience that once offered love now often gave judgment. The more he tried to explain himself, the deeper he sank into the chaos of public opinion. If you're enjoying this deep dive so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. Every week we explore the untold truths behind internet legends, and your support helps us keep going. Part 4. Cracks in the Foundation. By 2019, the cracks in Ethan's public image had started to show. Fans noticed shifts in tone, more frustration, more exhaustion, less laughter. The spark that once defined H3H3 Productions seemed dimmer. As he tackled heavier topics and defended himself from endless online backlash, Ethan began to lose the carefree humor that had once been his trademark. Part of this shift was simply the changing landscape of YouTube itself. The platform that once rewarded originality was now dominated by algorithms, monetization issues, and outrage culture. Controversy sold better than creativity, and Ethan, someone who had built a career calling out nonsense, now found himself caught in the same cycle he had mocked years before. He tried to adapt, creating new shows and adjusting formats, but the internet's expectations were relentless. Every joke was dissected, every opinion became political, every laugh had consequences. Ethan had built his brand on being authentic, but authenticity had become a liability in a world obsessed with outrage. Part 5. The Downfall and Rock Bottom. Every creator has a breaking point. For Ethan Klein, that point came when the pressure of public life collided with personal struggle. The controversies, the backlash, and the emotional fatigue accumulated until even the act of showing up became a battle. He spoke openly about it on his podcast, about feeling lost, about drowning in expectations, and about wondering if the version of himself that fans once loved even existed anymore. It was a rare moment of raw vulnerability, the kind that stripped away all celebrity pretense. Ethan admitted that he had hit rock bottom. His anxiety had spiraled, his motivation had faded, and the line between his public persona and private self had blurred beyond recognition. For a creator whose career was built on connection, isolation had become his new reality. Yet, even in that darkness, there was something deeply human about Ethan's honesty. Unlike many who vanish when things get tough, he stayed. He faced criticism, admitted mistakes, and continued talking openly about his struggles. His candor resonated with countless fans who saw their own battles in his. Depression, anxiety, burnout, these weren't abstract ideas anymore. They were living realities, played out in real time on a public stage. Ethan's story became less about downfall and more about survival. He didn't quit. He adapted. He learned to set boundaries, take breaks, and focus on family. Slowly, he began to rediscover his voice. Not as the loud internet commentator of old, but as a man trying to find peace in an industry that rarely allows it. Part 6. Reflection and Redemption. Ethan Klein's honesty about his struggles transformed the meaning of his platform. The H3 podcast evolved from controversy into conversation, a place where real issues could be discussed with empathy and openness. Fans who had once criticized him began to see a different side, a human side. He talked about therapy, self-care, and the importance of protecting mental health, not just as a creator, but as a person navigating an overwhelming world. He acknowledged that fame had changed him, that constant exposure had distorted his sense of self, but he also found purpose in acknowledging it. Through his vulnerability, Ethan became a case study of what happens when internet fame collides with human fragility. His willingness to talk about mental health helped normalize conversations that were long overdue in the creator community. Ethan also used his platform to highlight others, giving space to voices who had been overlooked or misunderstood. His approach softened. The sharp edges of his commentary turned into thoughtful reflection. He no longer wanted to win internet battles. He wanted to understand why they existed in the first place. Part 7. Lessons from Ethan Klein's journey. Ethan Klein's story is more than just a timeline of internet fame and downfall. It's a mirror reflecting what fame does to the human mind. The internet loves to build people up and tear them down, often in the same breath. For Ethan, this cycle became his reality. But instead of letting it define him, he's begun to redefine what it means to exist publicly in an age of constant judgment. His journey teaches creators that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's survival. That taking care of one's mental health isn't optional, it's essential. And that sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is admit they're struggling. Ethan's willingness to share his lowest moments has turned his platform into something larger than entertainment. It's become a reminder that no amount of fame or followers can replace peace of mind. There's also a lesson for audiences here. We, as viewers, often forget that behind every screen is a human being. The internet rewards controversy, but it rarely rewards compassion. Ethan Klein's evolution invites us to reconsider how we engage with the people we watch. To laugh when it's funny, yes, but also to empathize when it's real. Part 8. What comes after rock bottom? So, where does Ethan Klein go from here? The answer isn't simple, and maybe that's the point. His story doesn't end with a grand comeback or a redemption arc neatly tied with applause. It continues with quieter victories, moments of self-awareness, healing, and creative rediscovery. He's still podcasting, still creating, but doing it on his own terms. He's more selective with his energy, more mindful of his words, and more focused on what truly matters: his family, his mental well-being, and his craft. In many ways, Ethan's current chapter might be his most important. Not because of numbers or views, but because of perspective. He's living proof that even after public setbacks, growth is possible. That rock bottom isn't the end. It's a foundation for something new. Ethan's openness about therapy, medication, and burnout has sparked conversations far beyond his own audience. He's no longer just an entertainer. He's become a symbol of perseverance in the face of digital exhaustion. If you've made it this far into the story, take a second to subscribe and join this journey of exploring stories that go beyond headlines. Every story we tell is a reminder that even in the most chaotic corners of the internet, there's always something deeply human underneath. Conclusion. The meaning of rock bottom. Ethan Klein's journey reminds us that the internet can create heroes and destroy them with equal speed. But what makes his story stand out isn't his fame, his controversies, or even his fall. It's his willingness to confront it all head-on. He has shown that resilience doesn't mean being unbreakable. It means continuing despite being broken. His story isn't about perfection. It's about growth, self-awareness, and the courage to keep moving forward even when the world is watching you stumble. For Ethan, rock bottom wasn't the end. It was the beginning of rediscovering himself beyond the noise. He has turned pain into perspective and chaos into conversation. And maybe that's what makes him truly influential. Not his views, not his subscribers, but his ability to remind us all that behind every screen, there's a person trying to make sense of it all. If this story resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share your thoughts below. Have you ever hit a point where everything felt impossible, only to find strength you didn't know you had? Let's talk about it in the comments, because these conversations matter. Thank you for watching, and remember, even at rock bottom, there's always a way back up.